It's about the journey, not the destination. Reality is better than imagination. When I feel free, free to be me. When I feel free, free to be me. Gotta be free, gotta be free, gotta be free, gotta be free.
Good morning and happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Live Coffee Talk. I'm Michelle Quay. I am a visibility coach and I help women coaches with their content marketing. And if you are watching this on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook, I like you to do the following. If you can type healthy to let me know, or actually, no, that's scratch that. If you can tell me what you're eating or what you're drinking or what you're doing right now, and just put that in the comment. I know it is 11 o'clock here on the Pacific Coast, on the West Coast, so most likely you're grabbing your lunch or maybe having your cup of coffee. So let me know what you're drinking, eating, or what you're doing right now. So if you are distracting yourself and doing something else, you're multitasking, make sure you put that aside, because today I have a very important topic to share with you. This is something that's been very passionate to my heart. Those of you who know me, you know me. I hike the Machu Picchu with my two crutches, and I wouldn't be able to do it without the wellness aspects of it. So emotional wellness, physical wellness, and one part that really comes into play is my physical wellness. Thank you, Diana. Diana said, getting her petty and many. Whoa. Well, girl, you and I got to talk, because that is something that I would love to do. Getting your petty and many. So those of you who watch on Facebook, if you can just do me a favor, there's a link right here on the episode note from StreamYard. If you click on it, it's going to allow you to give StreamYard your permission to show off your name. So if you can just go ahead and hit that link, it's going to, so I can showcase you on the show. I can do a little call out. And Emmy said roasted broccoli and sardine for lunch. Damn, you guys are like the next level lunch. I'm planning to just have a sandwich or maybe a salad. One thing I love about eating is that I can get to my guilty pleasure. Today, joining me is my guest, Alessa Morgan. She is a certified wellness coach and holistic practitioner. Alessa Morgan is passionate about working with women who struggle with emotional eating and helping them integrating wellness into their lives through practice rooted in self-care. So, my lady, this episode is definitely for you. If you want to hear more about how you can stay fit, stay healthy, and be a rock star in your business, stay tuned. Stay with me and drop me a blue heart. Alessa's journey started with her own struggle with weight gaining and unhealthy coping mechanism that lead over the decade. And this struggle had led to determination to understand what does it take to actually create a change in building an everlasting results. And let's be honest. Wellness is so much than just being on a diet and exercise. Although that has been my biggest journey for the last week or so. I'll share more about that later. But without further ado, I'd like to invite Alessa to join us on this podcast. Hi, Alessa.
Hi, Michelle. Delighted to be here. Hello, everybody.
So a lot of people are actually doing the self-care part right now. So Diana said that she is getting her pedicure done and mani done. And Amy is definitely doing the roasted broccoli and sardines.
Yeah.
So, I think this is a perfect topic because it's lunchtime, noontime, people are eating. So give us a little quick intro about yourself.
Sure. So as you mentioned just now, my journey started with my own personal struggles. Being overweight is something that I've been dealing with probably since I was a teenager. I did not deal very well with change, and my family was going through a lot of changes, including moving and all that fun stuff. And I have always been interested in psychology, in nutrition, in fitness, and wellness. If there was a book laying around about those topics, I would always grab it. But at one point, I realized that knowing all this information is never going to be enough to actually make a change. And as my struggles continued, the question kind of remained, how come I know all of this information? I have all this knowledge on what to do, but how come I'm not doing it? And so that's when probably the most important aspect of all of this came into place is focusing on understanding specifically change, not just the theory of what you're supposed to do, but actually how to work with yourself, how to utilize what you know about yourself and, those tools to actually create the change that you're looking to have in your life.
Mm-hmm. I can totally relate to, consuming these information that I can get my hands on. So for me, it was more like a mental wellness. I was consuming a lot of books, but then, after reading all these books, I noticed that there's nothing that works. And I kept wondering, like going around in circle, wondering why it's not working for me. Like, what is it I'm doing wrong? How come there's all these books and I spend dollars, a lot of money, and I have collection of books? So it sounds to me that, you started this emotional eating wellness journey when you were really young. Was there anything that like you were kind of going into the extreme? Because I think one of the things that I've noticed a lot of teenagers, including my nephew or niece, when they consume these type of information, what they do is they take it into their life and they go to the extreme. So they would either not eating, or they're eating very little, or they feel guilty about eating a big meal. So what were some of the things that you have done?
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely going through extremes, definitely trying those extreme diets. But despite dieting, there was always this common denominator that essentially, I think the best way I can say it is that there was a point in time when I was going through some emotional struggles through depression, and food in a way became my best friend. It became my go-to thing that is always there for me. That is always, it became my coping mechanism, my comfort, if anything happens at all, go to, just food is always there. Mm-hmm. And so there is binge eating, complete lack of control in terms of consuming food, huge quantities. I'm bored. Okay, the refrigerator is right there. Looking forward to lunch. So it kind of became maybe an obsession, is one way to put it. It took up a lot of space in my life, for sure.
Yeah. I think this topic is very interesting because there was a news that I just read about how a lot of people are struggling with the hybrid workflow. And so there's a lot of company who's, you have to work from home, or chances are some days you end up working from home. And we all know when we are home, we're very comfortable. The next thing you know it, I'm going to close my camera or mute myself and go to the refrigerator just to grab something to eat. So there's a lot of company who's struggling with a hybrid work style. What was your favorite thing to go to when you were struggling with emotional eating? Like your comfort food, your favorite comfort food?
My favorite comfort food. Oh my goodness. Nutella. Do not place Nutella near me. Yes, definitely Nutella. No need for bread. No need for anything else. Just a jar and a spoon, and I'm good.
Nutella is very, very addicting, I have to tell you. Like I second that. I don't know what they put in there, but like the moment
I can tell you don't want to know.
Well, I do want to know, and I know our audience wants to know. So what is the Nutella?
Sure. So I'll just make it very simple. The two main ingredients in Nutella are palm oil, which is absolutely terrible for you because it's hydrogenated stuff, which basically kills your cells in a way, and tons of sugar. So these are the two main ingredients. There's a bit of hazelnuts, there's a bit of cocoa powder, but if you look at the ingredients list, those things are going to be way lower on that list because the ingredients go in the decreasing amount with the biggest quantities first. So palm oil and sugar.
I know sugar is the number one killer. It's not diabetes, it's not high blood pressure, it's actually sugar consumption. Number one killer.
Yeah, and unfortunately, sugar derails a lot of processes in our body. And you know that sugar is bad for you, but sometimes when you start learning the specifics of what exactly it does with your system, it shocks you. I mean, I didn't know for the longest time, for example, that sugar actually negatively impacts our immune system. You would think, what's up with that? Like, don't you just get fat with sugar? Well, no, there's a lot more. Um, and it just derails a lot of mechanisms in your body when it comes to detoxification, metabolism, processing, storing, not storing, releasing, hormones get out of balance. So there is a lot of damage that sugar can do, especially in high quantities.
Yeah. Diana said she's the kind of person, she said she would eat a spoonful of Nutella.
Yeah, because I don't know how they created it, but they did something right for our brains, so where it creates this pleasure dopamine loop. But definitely, it's a struggle to let that spoon go.
So I think the reason why a lot of or American or the people in the world, we go to sugar because sugar makes us happy. And that's what we do when we were a kid. When kid is crying or they're really annoying, what do parents do? Here's a candy bar, quiet down, right? So we're really accustomed and conditioned to the fact that the sugar will make us happy.
Yes,
How does
absolutely.
how does that
Sugar
impact?
or
Yeah.
yes, it's a very it's 100%. Sugar and food in general is the quickest way for our brains to get pleasure. So what happens is that when you are in an environment, as you mentioned, where something's wrong, you give the kid a candy. You want to celebrate something? Let's eat. Here's a cake. You're sad? Oh, don't be sad. Come and eat. It becomes part of our programming since young age. And especially if this is not healthy foods that were being offered these kids. It's not like a banana, it's actually a candy or I don't know, a Kinder Surprise, like one of those, the closest thing to Nutella that kids can get. And this creates this programming in your mind that kind of becomes subconscious, but then your brain automatically kind of retrieves that program on the surface. So whenever you're going through something, there will be like this knock on the door and like, hello, you have a solution. You know that, right? It's just, take a few steps and a few bites. So yes, it becomes a programming for us. It becomes a release of stress, release of emotions, release of any negative feelings or anything, or boredom, or anxiety, or depression, or just feeling useless and unfulfilled. It becomes an answer to many of those things, unfortunately.
So great. Now that I know that sugar is one example where our brain start to get conditioned and start to have this internal programming. How do I break the cycle? Tell me how, please.
Absolutely. So this is going to be a bit of a cliche of an answer, but all of us are very individual in our approach to how we are programmed, what works for us, so on and so forth. So the first step to kind of breaking this vicious cycle is creating awareness. It's really noticing what's happening with you, what's going on, what are you feeling. If you are looking to eat, then why are you looking to eat? What was it that happened on a stress level or on the anxiety level where you have this temptation? And
Go ahead.
okay. All right, as long as you're back. So creating awareness is the first step. Just really kind of following the thread of your emotions. What exactly that led you to that step? When does it happen? Is it after a conversation with, a difficult person, or after a challenging situation? And once you have this awareness, then it's really about breaking down what's behind this prompt for this reward, so to speak, if we're talking about how the brain works and creating this dopamine cycle. And one of the tricks is to attempting to replace this reward with something else. So something else that would be equally as fulfilling, that would, for example, satisfy your boredom or satisfy your anxiety, but it's not going to be food. This is more of a general tip because everyone is very, very individual. I mean, for example, I'm working with a client who she loves music. Like she is a music buff. Like she's a singer and music is her life. And sometimes she was able to create changes when she started thinking of a particular song that put her into a different emotional state. But this is not a tip that I can recommend to everybody because it's a very individual aspect. So that's why it's really important to what triggers us. What is it that enables us to change our emotional state and use that to create those changes?
Emmy says she's loving this conversation. I'm loving this conversation because as you're describing all these tips, like creating that awareness and recognizing the emotion before that lead to your emotional eating, I'm sitting here and trying to think back in terms of how my eating habit has been like really down the drain lately. And I think one of the reason behind that is I'm sitting in front of the computer all the time and I'm working on something, I'm either at work or, connecting or doing a coaching session. So for me, it almost feels like it's a level of stress. How would someone who's experiencing this type of work related stress or business related stress be able to use some of the tips that you have shared? What would you recommend?
Absolutely. So, for example, in your particular environment, I would invite you to consider changing as many things around you as you can. And it might sound silly, but what do I mean? For example, changing the light. Because if you get into a familiar environment, your brain will be generating the triggers that has always been generating in that environment. But if you, for example, change your light, change your sitting position, I don't know, face this wall instead of that wall for once, maybe have a stress ball next to you or something, maybe have a glass of water. Maybe if you don't have a plant nearby, put a plant next to yourself just to create this change to facilitate this process of your brain registering, I'm doing something different. And then when this craving kicks in, because you are going through stress, which is similar to what you have experienced in the past, first of all, you will have more reminders around you not to cope with stress the way you always cope with it. And second of all, those reminders, they will help to create this moment of mindfulness. And mindfulness is essentially the pause between the desire and reaction to that. So you will have a moment to center yourself, to reassess what's going on. Another tip that worked for some people is, for example, if you have an essential oil diffuser, This also helps with some cravings, especially if those are fake cravings. You're not actually hungry, you're just looking for something. Well, smelling an essential oil, especially if it's like one of those, I don't know, citrusy or minty or jasmine, like something that is very pleasant for you, this will help to satisfy your brain for that point in time, because it will create at least a little bit of pleasure to your brain.
I feel like I need to change my office into a spa. What's coming up for me is I need to change my office environment to a spa area. I have a little music on.
It's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea at all. And the thing is that like there are so many of those small changes that you can implement in your daily routine, if this is something you're struggling with, or implement into a particular portion of your routine where those struggles occur. I have actually been collecting those ideas and just kind of putting them in a structured form. And I will be releasing a class with them, just to share that knowledge with more people so that they have those quick shortcuts to address those cravings when they come up.
So I know a lot of coaches are talking about wellness and emotional eatings, but one of the things I really love about you is that you have a very calm, soothing, and loving personality. So I'm curious, how do you usually work with clients? Like, tell us about that process of how you work with clients.
Thank you so much for your compliment. It means the world to me. Thank you. Here is the thing. What I have noticed is that people start following a fitness or a wellness guru, an influencer, like the way they like to say nowadays, and they try to take their method, adapt it into their life. More than likely, in a lot of cases anyways, it's not going to work, and it's going to be very discouraging. And so the task of wellness becomes a task. It becomes daunting and stressful and annoying. And it's like, oh God, more like, and sometimes expensive. Like, oh, now I have to go to the Whole Food store instead of Publix. And what I have noticed is that creating difference is not, or creating a change in your life is not just about doing something different. It's taking what's different and making it yours. So the process of coaching centers on helping the client to understand themselves. That's the number one priority, because when you understand yourself, you uncover the tools and the resources that you never knew about that actually are there inside yourself. We're just bringing them out onto the surface. It's just like I mentioned this example a few minutes ago about the lady who is a singer. So for her, the music, like every time we bring up music in our sessions, her face lights up because it's everything changes. And it's really finding taking you as a human being, what you are naturally gravitating towards, what you like, what you're staying away from at all costs, and taking that essence and weaving it into the changes that you're looking to create, so that all of the changes that you're doing in your lifestyle, integrating into your routine, they feel yours. They feel like something that you're comfortable with, something that you actually want to be doing, and something that feels right to you emotionally and physically.
What the word that keeps coming up for me is the motivation. You really help motivating the fact that I don't just want to go to the grocery shop or the drugstore to pick up another bottle of healthy food or juicing, starting a juicing diet. What I really want to do is to find something that works for me, and it's something that's very sustainable, something that's long lasting. I can enjoy my life finally and eat what I want.
Yes, absolutely. It's really like it's so I cannot emphasize how important it is to removing this feeling of wellness or exercise or fitness as being daunting out of the equation. Because if you just kind of mentally shut down every time you hear about diet and exercise, it's going to be very difficult for you to, like you said, to motivate yourself to create any changes, because you think that, oh, I have to do it exactly this way to achieve those results. And it's really not the case. And with a lot of clients, when we are taking this journey into understanding who they are, what works for them, increasing awareness to how they speak to themselves, for example, what drives their macro and micro decisions on a daily basis, this awareness can change a lot of things for people. And there is a bigger tendency to reach out to something that's healthy, not because you're forcing yourself to do it, but because it's part of self-care, of this kind of self-care bubble that you're creating around yourself during your routine.
So, Alyssa, you have just put me in my self-care bubble today by talking about this, and then I can totally imagine myself sitting here inside my bubble. I have my essential oil on. I have my spot music on. So I know you're also an entrepreneur. You have your own coaching business, and this is really something that you help your clients achieve, is by addressing that emotional eating, and so send them off on a wellness journey that is really from a inside out approach. So I'm curious, and I know our audience would be curious as well, is how do you balance your entrepreneurial life with this wellness, emotional wellness?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think my answer will be very similar to most entrepreneurs on your show. And in general, balance takes a lot of work, especially if it's something that you are so passionate about and you are just burning with ideas and you want to do this and you want to throw yourself into that and you want to book yourself there. And yes, there are 26 hours in a day, not 24. Yes, it's very, very easy to go overboard with this process. It's really, so the first part of the answer, it's really going to be what works best for you. So for me, I know that structure works best. I know that if there is no structure, I will be all over the place. I will either do everything or do nothing, and it's going to be very inconsistent. So for me, structure is important. I know, Michelle, that you as well you love calendars and you love uh, you love your planners, you love those reminders. So yes, creating structure in your day. And one important question to ask yourself in this process is how this goal of entrepreneurship is aligned with your top two other priorities. So right now you're asking me about wellness. The other two priorities can be, for some people, it's family. Well, usually it's some shape or form or significant other, kids. For other people, it's something else. Because this goal needs to be aligned with others. Because if they're not aligned, then you will give priority to something else and you will put the other one on the back burner.
And that creates stress, and stress, we know what happens when we're stressful. we want to eat more things that makes us happy.
Exactly. Very much. Yes. So it's creating the structure. If you are a structured person, again, it's very, very individual. And then just also building breaks into your structure, saying, okay, Sunday is the day when I'm not doing this, and this. And I don't care what happens, I'm not doing it, and sticking to it.
I am determined on my eating wellness journey or my diet journey right now, is that Saturday is my cheat day. I can eat whatever I want, however I want on Saturday. So
And it sounds like it doesn't make you feel guilty because you're planning for it, because this is your day to take care of yourself by indulging, by tasting, by experiencing those flavors and everything you love. So that's why there is no shame or guilt behind it, because this is you honoring yourself, understanding yourself, knowing yourself, and structuring this intention into your week.
I love it. I love this conversation. And
Likewise.
so tell us where so Amy says Saturday is my workout day. No, Saturday is my cheating day. Well, my emotional eating day. How's that workout day? How's that?
There you go. There you go.
I can do all the emotional eating that I want on Saturday. So how can someone contact you if they wanted to work with you or find out like more about your program?
Yeah, the easiest way to reach me is through my website, alessamorgan.com. That's where you can check out what I'm doing, email me, or there's access to the calendar if you want to have a chat.
So everyone, just make sure you write that website down, alessamorgan.com. You can go check out her work. And how does someone find out about your class or reach out to you about the class that you're going to offer soon?
Yes, so that information is also going to be shared on the website and in a way where it's going to basically pop up so everybody will see. And I will also be promoting it on my Facebook page, Wellness with Alessa, and Instagram page, Wellness with Alessa, as well.
Yay! And I will have everything, all the links for you in the episode notes when we're done. So you can check down below in the episode notes to get all the links that you want. And you can also reach out to her via her email, info@WROW8.com. And Alessa would be more than happy to reach out back to you.
Yes.
Any last word of advice that you have for our audience?
I think one of the important things to remember is simply to trust yourself, whatever what it is that you're going through, what it is on your mind. Just trust yourself through this process. Trust your intuition, trust your internal guidance. That is usually something that is a very big and underused resource for many, many of us. And thank you so much, Michelle, and Facebook users whose name I cannot see, but you mentioned one of them is Diana. And thank you so much for being here. I had such a blast. I love I loved our conversation. I love your energy. You're always the most positive person that is in my circle, and it's always a delight and a pleasure to talk to you.
I love all my guests, and then you're so creative. Yeah, the Facebook user whom we shall not name. That was Amy.
Amy
said lovely chat. See, this is what happened, ladies, when I said to go ahead and click that link so that you give permission to display your name on StreamYard. So that we don't have our guests like Alessa saying that the Facebook user whom I don't know your name.
I want to acknowledge everybody.
I love it. And I think what I'm taking away from this conversation is that the wellness journey is really something that's very personal and something that is very custom tailored to your goal, your need, and what really works for you. So I would encourage everyone who is watching this live or listening to the podcast later to really think about what is it that you want to accomplish in your wellness journey. So before you pick up another bottle of the diet pills or joining another weight loss program, think about what Alessa has said about your wellness.
Yes, it is very individual. Just because as human beings, we have such different triggers and such different reasons for doing what we're doing. And exploring this background of emotional eating, if that's what someone is struggling through, is an amazing and such a rewarding process of self-discovery that I think is just fascinating for all of us at all stages in life.
So I want to thank you again, Alessa, for coming to the show. It was great information. I know a lot of our ladies and our viewers are getting out of this, and hopefully that will create a mindfulness and awareness in their life to focus on what brings us happiness and joy instead of going to the sugar or things
Thank
that's
you,
not
Michelle.
really working for us. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Michelle.
I'm going to put you to the backstage so I can close up the show. All right, ladies, hopefully you are enjoying your lunch while listening to Alessa's tips on how you can bring more awareness and mindfulness into your everyday entrepreneurship living lifestyle. And hopefully you will get her, this is her web address again, alessamorgan.com. Go check her out, check her her class that's coming up shortly. Reach out to her via her email. And if you are not following me yet, be sure to hit the subscribe button on YouTube or just hit the follow on LinkedIn and Facebook. And I would love to see you again next week when I bring and invite another guest to come onto the show to help you, supporting you on this entrepreneurship journey. So stay with me and I will see you on the next tea party. Bye now.